Hey, how's it going? Welcome back to CarMiZa. If you're not familiar with CarMiZa, it is this BMW behind me, a legendary audio system that I am rebuilding. In this video, this is going to be a really special video to me, and there will be a reveal at the end. So basically, as some of you know, I am rebuilding the car that Earl Zalsmer built behind me. Initially, when he built the car back in the 90s, he wanted something different. So he built this Zebrawood rack to be able to hold the components, the amplifiers and capacitors and things like that. He wanted something elegant, different, classy, unique, and he nailed it with the Zebrawood. So when I decided to rebuild the car, I also wanted to do Zebrawood. I wanted to do something a little bit different than what Earl did, and maybe kind of step it up a notch. So my objective was to do book match zebra. So if you notice, this is one large slab of wood. You can't even buy them this wide anymore. So if I wanted to replicate this, I couldn't. So what I decided to do was kind of bring in my father. My father, John Mickney, is a very, very skilled woodworking craftsman. He lives in New York. I am in Arizona, as many of you know. So I decided to build some templates. You may have been watching the video so far. I've got a 3/4 inch template in the car that I built. I've also got a 1/4 inch version of that made of MDF, just as templates that I sent out to my father. So basically what I did is I spent a lot of time going to different lumber places in the Phoenix area, probably half a dozen different places. I found the place I wanted to go to that had the best selection. I went through, probably spent a couple of hours going through different pieces of Zebrawood to find the one I wanted, and I kind of saw it, and to me it was instant. As soon as I saw it, I said, that's it. That's the grain pattern I want. You cannot get a veneer the size that I wanted, so veneer was off the table as an option. So I bought the piece of wood, and then I had it what's called resawn, where it's basically sawn down the middle. That opens up the wood, and then you have a book match pattern where the two sides are a match. At the time when I had that done, it was about 115 degrees out. I'm in Arizona again, in the desert, and unfortunately the wood warped very badly. It got really cupped, really bad, and I was really bummed out because I had spent a lot of time looking for that piece of wood. So I said, gosh, there's got to be a way to fix this. So went back and forth with my dad, and he said, let's give it a shot. So I sent everything out to him, and he basically has gone through and done all of the work. And again, for those of you who are watching this series, you may have seen me, kind of giving updates on the wood. I asked him to go through. He's not much of a recording kind of a guy, and I said, Dad, can you have Fred? That's my brother's name is John, actually, as well, but we nicknamed him Fred long ago. So I said, can you have Fred come over and just do a real short video where you say, hey, I'm John Mickney. I built a piece of Zebrawood for Mike's car. There you go. And of course, in true Mickney fashion, he went through and did about a 12-minute interview in great detail. Who does that sound like? Sound familiar? So without further ado, I'm going to now break to my father providing that interview.
Hey, hi there. I'm John Mickney, Mikey's father. And a couple of months ago, he asked if I could use some of my woodworking experience to make up a support plate for the rebuild he's doing. I said, yeah, sure, that's no problem. Drill a bunch of holes. That's easy. Right. Okay, so he sent me 2 pieces of Zebrawood that were book matched. Book matching means like if you take a 2x6, stand it on the edge and slice it down the center into 2 halves, then open them up like a book, the grain pattern will be identical but a mirror image of each other. And that's what he wanted for the Zebrawood. Well, after a lot of fooling around and trying to straighten out warped boards and cupped boards, I finally got them flat enough to work. He also sent this MDF layout of the holes he wanted drilled. There are 69 holes here. And he very kindly drilled 16th inch holes in all the locations, marked them by a number, and made up a data sheet that described the hole, told what size drill to use, whether it needed countersinking or any other details. Yeah, one of the details was two of the holes had to be drilled at 70-degree angle. Well, I left those for last, mainly just to think about how I was going to do it. Over here, when the package arrived, this was what he had the boards packed in, had all these guides put in, and he could tie everything down.
So Mike made this slab here for
right,
shipping?
Right. It's just for shipping. It's for no other,
Wow.
no other reason. Some of the drill bits I had to use, he had to supply them because I don't work in metric measurements, especially for drills. Although I do have a set of metric drills, but nothing like this. These are called Forstner bits, and you can see if you have it in the drill press like so, and drill it down, it'll drill a hole with a flat bottom. Notice it's got a point right in the center, and if you start that point in the exact place where you want the hole, it works fine. This is a big 53 millimeter Chinese bit, which you ought to ship back to China.
Good idea.
It worked, and these are just common, ordinary woodworking bits with a brad point. Call them brad point bits. You see the tip of the drill has a point in it. That's for alignment through the wood so it doesn't skate as it's drilling through hard parts of the wood or soft parts of the wood. So what I did, I finally got the boards so that they were reasonably flat, and took all these numbers that he had marked on here and all the information from the data sheet, and I made little stick-on tabs, you know, little Avery, like a mailing tab or mailing label or something like that, and I put these little tabs on the wood, identifying each hole, and then I drilled through this stuff, this MDF, into the wood. I had to align left or horizontal and vertical of the 4 pieces of Zebrawood, so that this lined up, everything was lined up, you know, I had marks on the sides and so forth. And I drilled holes, 16th inch holes, through the MDF, down into the Zebrawood and through the Zebrawood. Fine, that's great. Now, I did not glue these 4 pieces together. How would I be able to drill these holes in the drill press with a piece of wood this big? So what I did, I taped all the 4 pieces together such that the intersection lined up, and drilled or marked each hole with that little tab, what the hole number was, what the diameter should be, and any other details like countersinks, depths of countersinks, and so forth. And I drilled them individually, one at a time. And I had all the holes drilled, everything was going fine. And so now the next thing is to glue the 4 pieces together. Well, you got the grains running this way, so that this joint is an end grain joint. And the cardinal rule in woodworking is thou shalt not glue end grain. It can be done, but generally it's epoxied, and it's also reinforced. What I did for reinforcing was I used a thing called a biscuit. woodworkers have been doing this for years. This is a, I don't know what kind of wood it is, but it's compressed. When they make it, they put it in a press, you know, and so when it's put into the slots that are drilled for it, like so, it all fits together.
Nice.
Now, it appears loose here, which it is. It's loose so that you can put it together and slide it one way or the other to align it and so forth. But once the glue hits it, the moisture from the glue soaks into the biscuit and it expands. And when it expands, it makes a really tight joint. So the ends were biscuited together on two pieces, left and right, and then left and right up here. So now I had two pieces of zebra wood instead of four. I then used the biscuits and placed a bunch of them along the horizontal glue joint and glued everything together. That came out fine, and a couple of days of scraping and planing and hand planing and sanding, we end up with the final product, which is here.
Whew.
That's it, 69 different holes, different sizes, different depths.
So this is zebra wood, you said.
Yeah.
How much does this cost?
This is a fortune. I think for the original plank that he started with, I think he said 300 bucks.
Wow. That's a lot for a piece of wood.
Oh yeah. Notice the book matching here, how this grain matches this grain.
Right, so you got a seam right here.
Right?
Yep.
And these two lines, you know, they all meet in the center.
Right. Gotcha.
So the next thing to do, well, notice it's a little rocky. That's because the damn zebra wood, because of the cupping and you know, warping and whatnot, it was impossible to get each board flat at the same thickness. I could do it, but I'd wind up with boards 1/4 inch thick, which would not work.
So once he screws this in place,
Yeah,
it'll
well,
suck it right in, right?
I clamped down all four corners and on the router table, which gives me a place to put the clamps, and no problem. You know, it just springs into shape. Hold it down. So once he gets this mounted and you know, secured, it'll be flat.
So say it again. This was one piece of wood? Or two?
Two.
Two, okay.
Well, it started as one piece of wood, one plank about like a 2x6 or 2x10 in this case. And,
Okay, for shipping.
And no, he sliced that plank in half.
Yep.
And now he had 1x10s, two of them that were book matched, but warped and cupped. And he sent me two of those, and I just, you know, took the appropriate cuts and book matched them, and there it is, ready to be shipped out. Oh, I don't know, a couple of days from now. I'll haul it over to the UPS store. Say, here you go, guys. Ship this to Arizona, and that's it.
Well, thanks very much.
My pleasure. All kinds of fun doing this stuff.
What other projects you got coming up?
Bought a CNC machine. I don't know if you can see it. It's way down
Oh,
in the
yeah.
back there. Bought it 6 months ago and haven't plugged it in yet. I've been working on this thing and a few other things. I had to build a cabinet for the CNC, and that's over there. That was a cabinet for a chop saw, and I rebuilt it. Put doors and drawers on it, and the CNC machine will go on top.
Oh, that piece right there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, very good.
That's about it.
So you mentioned something about a 70-degree drilled hole. Where's that, and how did you do it?
Yeah, there's actually two of them. Mike, he sent me a drawing of a part that he wanted me to make. He make two of them. The little small ramps, which I did. And this hole here is not straight this way. It's at 70 degrees this way. And it has to go into the wood 70 degrees that way. So how'd I do it?
Yeah, you just can't tilt the drill, right? It has to be 70 degrees.
I can tilt the drill press, but that would be tricky because the bit would be spinning at a fairly high rate. The point of the bit would bite into the wood, but the cutting part of the bit would lift and come down, and that has a notorious reputation for just walking, just skipping out of the way. The drill bit had to be held secure at that angle to drill the hole. All right. I did tilt the drill press table, and I made this guide.
So you made the guide
Made the guide.
for the project.
You can
Typical.
see that's at an angle. Okay. And then I aligned, I had to use a flashlight to look at where the lead hole was. And I got that aligned like that, and then clamped it down, both sides. Now when I took a hand drill and went in with the hand drill, if it skipped, so what? It ain't going any place because it's all captured by this guide. And I drilled right through both sides, come out perfect.
Simple solution for what I thought might be a complex problem.
Yeah, it took me a couple of nights falling asleep thinking about it, how I was going to do it.
All right.
All right, I hope you enjoyed the footage of being able to kind of meet my father. Awesome guy for sure. And if you may have noticed in the video, my father called me Mikey. When I was very, very young, somehow I got the nickname of Mikey. So my father and siblings call me Mikey. And I'm curious, I'm considering changing the channel to Precision Mikey. I've always been Precision Mike on forums, and that's always been my handle, but I'd be curious in the comments of what you guys think if I should change that. I think that would be pretty cool. Also, if you notice, Dad doesn't have any Harbor Freight tools. He's using better quality stuff at this point in his life. One other big thing you may have noticed that he didn't talk about was the absolutely beautiful boat that you saw in the background. It's an Adirondack guide boat. My father is, as I mentioned, kind of a master craftsman, very, very humble, and he has built several of those boats. He is, in that circle, he is considered a bit of a legend and has written books. I'm going to actually provide the link in this video in the description box for his most recent book that he has written. So he's really, really good with those as well. And I've mentioned this before, but it's worth repeating. When I was younger, and I'm sure a lot of you that have competed, or maybe you're competing now and you are a bit younger than I am, when it comes to getting your car ready for shows, it's just a constant rush. You got to get points, you got to get your car ready for this show or that show or whatever, and you're rushing. That's the way I was when I was a kid, when I was in my, probably up till the time I was at least 25. I was big into competing, and I was running from show to show and working at my dad's house, and my dad would always try to slow me down and teach me the right way to do it. But I was a young kid, didn't want to hear it, and I was just trying to rush and kind of cobble things together, I guess, if you will, to some degree. So my father is definitely responsible for all the detail, all the craftsmanship, and the precision, if you will, that you see. And some of you may know, I used to have a shop, car audio shop in New York. We have since sold it, and it's shut down, unfortunately, but it was called Precision Mobile Audio. And my father came up with the name. He said, describe, when we were talking about naming the shop, describe what you're going to be. I said, well, we're, above and beyond and really do good work. And he says, you're going to be Precision. So that's where that name came from. All right. So basically, the bottom line there is, guys, my father was definitely a huge influence in my developing my craftsmanship over the years. I still have a lot to learn. I don't know it all for sure, but I basically owe him a huge amount of gratitude for what he has taught me. It's been very, very important to me. So also my brother and my father both were huge influences from an audio perspective. So that's why this car is here. because my brother, when we were younger growing up, was always into music. My father as well. So, all right. So at this point, we are going to take a look at the piece of Zebrawood. This is, if you notice, this is the packing rig that I sent to my father. Initially, this was going to also act as kind of a drilling guide, but he came up with something different, so it worked out fine. This piece right here is the 1/4-inch MDF that I sent him for all these holes that you just saw in the video. Underneath this is the Zebrawood, and true story, I have not peeked. Okay, so at this point, I want to go ahead and open this up and see the Zebrawood for the first time. Very exciting. All right, as you can see here, we've got, these are the plexiglass templates. And again, if you've been following along, I'm kind of a freak about plexiglass. So I use these templates and sent these to my father. He also printed out, this is that sheet you just saw him using, which is a spreadsheet that I built for all the drill holes. But here is the Zebrawood, and man, it looks absolutely beautiful. It is incredible, guys. Looks amazing. It's exactly what I had hoped. And now at this point, I'll go ahead and get it mounted in the car and we'll take a look at it. All right, so this is gonna take me some time for sure, because I do have to mount the front rail as well. And I do wanna get it mounted as soon as possible. I think there's, I forget, 14 different bolts that hold it in, machine screws that hold it into the car. And I wanna make sure that it doesn't warp or do anything any worse, right? So I'll be very careful with that. So let me get to work on that and I'll show you the piece mounted in the car. I still have a long way to go, but this is an incredible milestone. Christmas is in 3 days and I just got Christmas early. This is awesome, guys. Again, I'm just using a crappy shop light here. I did not mount the front rail yet. I actually have to trim that down and angle it because of the side panel, so I'll deal with that later. I was just too excited to see this in the car. I did bolt in, as you can see, some of the bolts, but didn't do all of them. And I just set the frames for the Milberts in the 845 because I wanted to see what it looked like. Again, as I mentioned, my father mentioned too, it's not a perfect book match because of the issues that he had when the wood was warped. I thought this was going to be the most expensive kindling I've ever bought, but he managed to resurrect it and turn it into this masterpiece. It is incredible, guys. I can't wait for you guys to see this. With it not being a perfect book match though, what is important is the pieces up here, these two pieces, and this is again, without the guts and the Milberts. When those are in there, you'll see, you know, some of this will get blocked, but what you're going to see is almost a perfect book match. So I am very, very happy with this. I'm ecstatic. This is, I had a vision and this is my vision. And again, it's far from done. All right, so with that, again, I have a lot of work to do. I'm gonna be working on this front rail, get that mounted, all kinds of stuff, and then I'll get back into, if you've been following along, I've been working on the side panels. I'll get back into those. And I spent, you know, I'm not one to talk about cost of things and all of that. My dad or my brother asked how much the Zebrawood was. My dad said a few $100s. It was $335, I think, for the piece of wood after tax. I have substantially more than that, multiples of that, into shipping, packing, other things that, you know, the other materials, the all that packaging and all that kind of stuff. But to me, guys, this is priceless. You can't put a price tag on this, especially having my father have a hand in the build was like one of the most important things to me. It's very, very special. This is my last car audio build. And that was, when I had that idea, I said that would be the coolest thing ever. So, want to give a shout out also where they are due. First off to Earl for the idea of Zebrawood. Hopefully I've done you proud here, Earl. More to come, obviously. Also, I want to give a shout out to Evan and the crew at Woodworker Source in Tempe, Arizona. Those are the guys that were very patient with me and spent, gosh, several hours with me going through, answering questions and going through all the different slabs. And those are the people that did the resaw. They do great work. So if you need anything, reach out to them. And again, from my brother for being a cameraman with my dad, certainly appreciate that. And obviously, most importantly, to my father for doing this work. It's just incredible and I absolutely love it. If anyone has any questions for me, certainly feel free to let me know in the comments. And thank you very much for watching. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends, and be sure to watch the rest of the series and watch this thing come to fruition. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Talk to you soon.